What's up, Thrashers, and welcome back once again to the Thrash Maniac 99 YouTube channel, and I am back with another big album review for you guys, because of course April 26th was loaded with big releases, and today I'm going to be going over the latest offering from a.k.a. Humanoid. Also came out on April 26th, this time on Napalm Records, and this is their first album on Napalm. They were with Nuclear Blast for over a decade, going back to their comeback album, Blood of the Nations. But yeah, so Accept, I have reviewed a couple of Accept albums. I reviewed the last one, Too Mean to Die, and I thought that was a great album in their catalog. And then the only other album I reviewed was my personal favorite, Blind Rage, which came out in 2014, and that was my album of the year for 2014. Geez, time flies by so fast, it's ridiculous. But yeah, this is the latest of their comeback run, like I said, that started on Blood of the Nations. And I kept wondering to myself, is this band going to miss? Because I don't want them to, and I didn't think it was capable of happening. But, spoiler alert, I think there might be some issues with this. So going into this, I didn't check out any of the singles because when it comes down to Accept songs or the albums, I like to listen to it all in one listen and kind of get the idea of what's going on. And I gotta be honest with you, I wasn't the biggest fan of this. Starts off with Diving into Sin, which does have a cool, like, Middle Eastern clean guitar beginning and end, and it almost made me think of Wherever I May Roam by Metallica. And there are some solid riffs and grooves and some gallops to it, but there's really not a whole lot of energy going on with this opening track, and it unfortunately kind of sets the pace for this album in terms of, like, maybe the band's starting to run out of ideas a little bit. And then the title track, Humanoid, this one has a little bit more energy to it. There's a nice melody on top of a chugging riff, and it's speed metal D beats all throughout with some more sinister riffs that pop up, but the chorus is so damn bland, it sounded like they were bored when they were making up the chorus to this song, and it just kind of ruins the song for me a little bit. Like, everything else about the song's good, but the chorus, it's just so bland and generic, and I just took me out of the song quite a bit. Then the song Frankenstein, which the song itself, it's just standard fare for the most part. It's just your typical Accept riffs, but without a whole lot of thought behind it. And even the chorus and the pre-chorus to the song just felt like I was listening to like a cheesy horror movie song, and I didn't care for it. Although I will say, so far I've not been the most positive about this album, but I will admit, at least if there's one thing this entire album has going for it, Wolf Hoffman's leads. Like, of course, Wolf Hoffman, I think, is one of the top 5 most underrated guitarists in metal history. Like, the guy can come up with really good riffs, but he's great at solos, and he's also got a classical background in his playing, and his leads are very good on this album. Yeah, they can be a little repetitive and a bit basic at times, but he knows how to shred, and he does shred on a good chunk of this. So at least there's good leads on this album, I will give it credit. But yeah, Frankenstein, it's like, so far the first 3 tracks have had their moments, but for the most part, I wasn't too big on them. And then Man Up, I felt like I was just listening to a modern AC/DC song where it's a generic rocker, but the bridge was really cool. Like, I liked the bridge on this song, and then we start getting into lead trade-offs, and I forget the name of the other guitarist that's in the band along with Wolf Hoffman, but he and Wolf do a really good job trading off of each other on this song, so that's something. But then, after the first 4 songs feeling disappointed, we finally get a pretty damn good one, The Reckoning, which starts off unlike any other song on the album. There's some dissonant melodies that kind of get peppered in at the beginning, and then standard cool melodies, and then it just unleashes into more of the speed metal side of Accept that I really, really like. But there's some cool groove on here, and some more of those lead trade-offs. Nobody Gets Out Alive. This is one of the more melodic songs of the album, and it kind of feels like a bit of a party song. And Mark Tornillo, I will always say, I think Mark Tornillo is the best vocalist Accept has ever had. I think he's way better than Udo, at least in my mind. No disrespect to Udo, but when it comes to a broader vocal range, Mark Tornillo is the guy. And his vocals are all over the map when it comes to his range on Nobody Gets Out Alive. The song itself, while it's a bit more melodic and a little more uplifting, still just not really my bag. It's like they tried to do the song Sucks to Be You Part 2, and it just didn't quite click. But then we get to a very interesting song, Ravages of Time. This is the closest thing to a ballad, but it's more, I would say, like a doom-laden, like, song about living out your life with no regrets, and it's almost about, like, the band in their twilight, so it's very heartfelt when it comes to lyrics, and I actually do really like the song itself because of its slow, doomier nature, but with those more heartfelt melodies all throughout. Then we get into the song Unbreakable, which the song itself definitely feels like it's more centric around playing it in front of a crowd at a concert. Because it's like the lyrics are all about like addressing the crowd, and it's all metal tropes, kind of like early Exodus lyrics, where it's all about metal and metalheads and stuff like that, which I can get into that with, except, I don't know, it kind of felt a little bit odd. But then we get into the song Mind Games, where it gallops along pretty well, kind of like an Iron Maiden song, and I actually did like this track for what it was going for. And then we get into Straight Up Jack, which is the shortest song of the album at a little under 3.5 minutes. Feels like AC/DC meets Judas Priest, and they hang out and they write a goofy song about give the facts to me and give me some Jack Daniels. But it's catchy. It's a catchy song, despite the kind of dumb lyrics. But hey, at this point, I'll allow it. But then we finally get to probably the best song on the entire album, the closer, South Side of Hell. It's probably the fastest song on the entire album. It's speed metal galore, bordering on thrash. Great lead melodies and galloping riffs at the beginning before it gets into those speed metal D beats, and the harmonies that pop up in the lead section at the end. It was like, oh, I finally can do a chef's kiss to a song on this album. So yeah, it ends on a very good high note, but it felt like a very bumpy ride trying to get to that end point. Because to me, it's like, I feel like some of the luster that Accept has had since coming back with Blood of the Nations, like literally every album from then, like Blood of the Nations, Stalingrad, Blind Rage, Rise of Chaos, and Too Mean to Die. All 5 of those albums, I think, are very good to outstanding, but this one, it kind of felt like they were kind of, how should I put this? It just kind of felt like, okay, we're on a new label, so maybe we can just do this album, and then once we're kind of familiar with this label, maybe the next album will come back with a stronger album. So yeah, this could be a bit of a transitional album concerning new label and everything. But apart from that, a lot of the songwriting I felt kind of got sucked out of this album, unfortunately. Production doesn't miss. After all, it's Andy Sneap doing the production again, and he's been the producer since Blood of the Nation. And while, yeah, he may never change the settings, he don't have to, people. Stop complaining. He don't have to change settings as long as it sounds good. Isn't that what all that matters? I'm just pointing that out, but whatever. But yeah, the production doesn't miss, but the songs, like about half of this album, I just could not really get into, and I felt kind of bored. But there are songs that I really did like The Reckoning, Ravages of Time, Mind Games, Straight Up Jack, and South Side of Hell. Like, those were, especially South Side of Hell, that was the big one that I would probably go back to the most. Every other one, it could be kind of hit or miss. So, based on all that, I'm going to give this a 2.5 out of 5. It's not a bad album, but it's not anything like their previous 5 albums, where it's like energy upon riffs. This, I feel like it lacked quite a bit. in a lot of cases, but there have been worse albums from Accept. I'm not saying this is bad, but it's an okay at best album with a couple of big standouts. So if you love Accept as much as you love me, or not as much as you love me, who the hell would love me? If you love Accept as much as I do, there might be some things you'll like on this, but if you're unfamiliar with Accept, this may not be the album for you. I would go back to the previous 5 or even some of their 80s work first. But of course, that's just my opinion. What did you guys think of Humanoid by Accept? Let me know in the comments below. Like, comment, share, subscribe, all that fun stuff. Thank you for watching. Keep your horns high and your dreams wet.